All right. Thank you so much for joining Mr. Fernando and Dilshan with us today to discuss your experience during lockdown in terms of digital learning with remote learning and Microsoft Teams. Um, Before I start the conversation, I would like to open the floor for you to introduce yourself, Mr. Fernando, and sort of give a small background to what BRC and what you do there.
Good morning, Rishika. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity for us. And talking about me, I was at commercial bank. It's a financial field. For 40 years, I have been there, and for the last 8-9 years, I was involved in learning and development, and later on mostly on digital learning. So that meant we do have a passion on it, and we do few initiatives. And when I left commercial bank on retirement, then again I had to work on this particular intervention. So the BRC Asia in particular is in an infant company, and they want to fill the gap in the industry and to connect the digital aspect as well as the human aspect to get into collaborative communicative type of learning. So that made me to be with this BRC, and with that the present crisis came in, and that made us to think big and proceed with the learning interventions. Okay.
All right. Thank you for the introduction, sir. Dilshan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
Thank you, Rishika. So I'm Dilshan. I'm in profession. I'm a banker, and I'm a learning and development enthusiastic and a talent management enthusiastic for last 10 years. And it's about 15 years of experience into banking and learning and development in my profile. And I'm a qualified trainer and been as a trainer in the industry as well in different industries. And this is my enthusiastic work in terms of human capital development and the digital learning to the nation as a service. So BRC Digital Campus and BRC Asia invited me to contribute to them in terms of the technicalities and bring the learning and development measurements qualities in. So then I have been involved in this project as a freelancer, and we developed two things. BRC Asia is filling the gap as a all-around human capital solution provider in the country, and it's totally Sri Lankan, but we have a lot of international collaborations in it. And then BRC Asia wanted to go to the space of BRC digital campus with the digital learning, and they wanted to basically touch Sri Lankan students and the communities and also the employees in terms of digital learning. It especially came because of the COVID incident, and all enthusiasts like me was trying to give help to Sri Lanka by making this learning and development active once again through this digital technology. So that is how this BRC Digital Campus work has been started. So that's my contribution in this project, Rashika.
Great. Thanks, Dilshan. So you mentioned how COVID sort of opened a new path for us to try out new technologies, new things in terms of learning. How did this digital learning concept come in? And did you have digital learning before COVID, or how did you do things before COVID if you didn't have digital learning within your organization?
I pass this question to
Rishika,
Mr. Fernando. So Mr. Fernando, after Mr. Fernando, I'll follow it.
Yes.
Rishika, I have already, I think, that informed you with my experience in digital learning at commercial bank. Actually, with the current generation, we found that they are more with handsets and more with the digital apparatus, and the way forward for the communication happened to be digital learning. And even when we started, we saw the enthusiasm the learners have, the employees have in particular, and that of course got us to connect with them effectively rather than a classroom. So that made us all the time to experiment ourselves, and whatever we did, it became a huge success at Commercial Bank, and people praised it. I think I have a story to share with you. When I was at Commercial Bank, we had a we have a process in promotional aspects where you have to go through certain criteria. Then, of course, and examination to be done. With all those things, there would be backup sessions we used to do. This soon after the war in 2019, we we were planning to open many branches as possible in North and East. But again, the people in that area couldn't come to Colombo to follow these backup classes for them to qualify with the exam. So then, of course, we went to a service provider at that time, the NODES, National Online Digital Learning Organization, the government backed. They supported us in a great way to conduct it. It's the first time we did that, and it was a huge success. And we saw a lot of them in lesser lesser facilities where you have less facilities for learning. They got through it with this facility, and we managed with our objective of getting the numbers promoted. So from there onwards, this is what we have been doing from time to time. And with this crisis, the opportunity was huge. And as an infant company, also we are doing more to support the education, especially the school children, to narrow the equality gap in Sri Lanka. And of course, Microsoft is supporting that, and we are looking forward to get involved in it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing those insights with us. Dilshan, what is your view like?
Yes, so Rishika, I mean, I also been into the 15 years of in this human capital development and learning and development as a trainer as well as training manager for long years. So I mean, what we have seen it in the past before these COVID things happened, most of the time, every trainer, all training institutes, all academic institutes, all corporates, or you name everywhere, we were actually believing in the classroom type of in-house training a lot, because that's the most comfortable way where people come in and conduct training and they participate. With a lot of inconvenient factors are there, but still they used to come to classroom trainings and get hold on to the trainings. But in a particular situation with the COVID, we found that there is no way that the learner and the trainer can be connected, and we found that the entire training industry, or let's say the learning and development arena, or the learner and the trainer's connection, everything got locked down with the COVID incident. And most of the learners, trainers, or the institutions have to stop their training or the learning activities for almost like a 1 month. So everyone was confused. What are we going to do with this type of a situation? Because we believe learning cannot be locked down, even the entire world is locked down, because in any other country it won't be the same, where the Sri Lanka had to face it, because Sri Lanka was not prepared at that time to basically activate learning and development for people even at a lockdown situation. We can see the repercussions. We can see the repercussions happen where I mean, from grade 1 to the 12, there are about 4.5 million population in the country as students, and all these students had to stop their learning. And also the companies, almost like 25% came to work, and almost for 1 to 2 of months, companies had to stop their learning and development activities. We know the development is something that we cannot stop at any time in this world. Reason, even with this type of a scenario, with COVID or whatever the challenges that we coming up with this new normal world, we call it the VUCA. In the VUCA world, we have to expect these type of scenarios coming in. So we have to develop our skills and competencies to ready to new normal at any given time. Now, even this COVID incident is a situation where we had to basically improve our current skill set to a different skill set, transform a new current from a current to the new skill set. So we need to have development. So that is where everything was started. People started doing it in WhatsApp, YouTube, Viber, all type of medias they tried to use to get sorted or or get connected with the learners and start development once again. So it was not a clear direction at that time when we just started it. So the BRC Digital Campus was established with the management of the Che Adventure and with the BRC Asia management and Mr. Fernando and all these management people came in and thought we have to streamline this digital learning and bring this standard in. So that is the background that why we wanted to go and find a special expert in doing so. So that is where everything has started.
Great. I think most of the things you mentioned, the new normal and getting used to this new normal and skilling up new skill sets and trying new things is a new avenue that COVID-19 opened for us. My next question for Mr. Fernando would be, what solutions do you think are more pressing to be implemented and can be adjusted to this new norm? What do you think will work, and what is working at the moment for you and for the other institute you might be working with?
Thank you, Rishika. It is very relevant in the current context. There are two segments to it, as Dishan pointed out. One is the student learning, next is the adult learning, the other one would be the corporate learning. I think the future of the country would be entirely on student learning. When this incident happened, for example, in Sri Lanka, I'm talking in particular to Sri Lanka, last year also we saw the Easter Sunday bombing, where at least 2 months school children couldn't get involved in continue with their studies, and nothing happened. And here also started this is happened in the most unimaginable way. Nobody didn't know what would be the future. There was still there is some problems in it, and people don't know where it will go. Fortunately, Sri Lanka is getting settled now.
Yes.
But the future of the country, student population, you can't afford to lose their education stream. And in particularly with we are in a global village, and we need to work with the global trends. And this has really opened up for digital learning in Sri Lanka. And for me, actually, I have been involved in schools to a certain extent from 50 years education to now onwards. And there's nothing much of a difference happened in Sri Lanka. If you go, when my days we had a blackboard with white chalk, the only change happened to be the whiteboard and a ink pen, marker pen. Others would be the same. And it's more burden for the school-going children with the bulk of books. But again, I think this has really opened up for school authorities to go into the more modern learning methods and the available things. Not only that, I think I have been telling this in many occasions, that will, of course, connect the student population with the teachers, and there would be more respect to them. What is happening currently is teachers happen to blame the students. Parents are not very happy about children carrying handset. But again, this is the opportunity for everybody to, parents get connected with the children, teachers get connected with the children, and all will fall in love with this new digital learning. So that that need to be continued, and every effort should be made. Is I think a lot of thinking is happening to promote this remote learning, maybe the blended learning at the national level, at the village level, even school level, town level, all are talking about it. It's a good opening, and hopefully the country would benefit, the future generation would benefit, and we would be connected to the global in a better way. Thank you.
Dilshan, why don't you share your view on this question?
Yes, Rashika. I mean, Mr. Fernando has given the insights to the question that you asked. So I would take it to I mean, some little bit of a different angle also. That is to let you know about what need to be changed and how it to be adjusted to this type of a mode of learning. So now, as you see, Rashika, now although this online learning, when it is picked up, now in Sri Lanka, it's going to be again the school system going to start in the physical mode, right? So the thing that could happen with this is now this peak that we are moving in the digital learning can be broken as well, right? Because people will go and basically go and settle down with their physical learning, like because that's the comfort they had earlier, right? But now, as the digital learners or the digital learning enthusiasts, like companies like you all, the companies like BRC, Digital Campus, we should set the trend going, because this will be the future in the world, and this will be the future of the country as well. So things need to be adjusted at this. Number one is the learners, in the sense the students are the most of the students are coming from the generation alpha at this time, that is the latest generation, and you have the next 2 3 generations, that is the traditionalist generation X and Y. And in this all these generations, now we are in a modern world where we know how to handle a hands free. So now these generations are very much into the technology. I mean, they know basic technology. So now what we have to do is adjusted is the learners need to be properly taken to the stream of digital learning through a proper sequence, through a proper awareness and continuous focus in digital learning aspects. Now, why I'm saying so, we have to segregate the social networking tools from the learning tools, and give them that discipline of digital learning, and bring the tools like Microsoft, where it is more adjusted and more oriented to the digital type of learning. And this discipline, the streamline should happen in that way to the students, how the student have to basically participate to the class, how the student have to stream the class, how the student has to go ahead with the learning continuously with the digital line that we have given. So that discipline has to be streamlined. So it's a journey. It just started, and because even the new school, the school system, even that gets reinstated, still we can't drop it. The moment we drop it, we'll slip this goal, right? So all learning and development enthusiasts, the digital learning enthusiasts, we have to basically streamline it and keep it on with the students, because students anyway wanted to have this because it's really convenient. In other hand, as Mr. Fernando said, the parents, right? Parents are more like to have a secured, safe learning to their students. I'm sorry, that is their children, right? So safe and secure learning is the main concern of parents for their children. So this can be given in a nice tool like Microsoft, and we have to keep on educating, keep on talking to these parents and keep this digital learning live with them, right? So then they start believing in the digital learning, and they also want the safe and secure learning for their children, and they will also embrace this. So it's a mindset. That mindset, we have to take that the clear focus intention, and we have to work towards it. We can't make it slip again, because if it slip again, we will not able to make it. We have to wait until another new normal condition comes to adjust it. So we have
Yes.
to take on with that. Next thing have to be adjusted. So I'm talking about the students and the parents, and the next thing have to adjust it is, as the nation, there are so many communities now, in the state sector, the government sector, the government sector and the private sector. We have a lot of employees. There is again about 4.7 million employees, right?
Yeah.
So this has to taken to the level of employees and the employers, state
Mm.
or the private, and we have to ensure that this is a convenience tool that they could work day to day, because it's cost effective, it's more convenience in terms of connecting than traveling all the way to meetings or the kind of trainings that they are supposed to do day to day. So that has to be established with the employers also, and keep on working with them for a longer run. And for employee part also, we have to ensure, other than the corporate, what we can do in the nation, where we can engage them in the digital learning, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that part is what the BRC digital campus is actually looking at. So that is why I'm very fond of this BRC digital campus work. Reason, they connect the learner, they connect the trainer, they connect the employee, they connect the employer, and it's a all around thing. So therefore, that type of organization should focus it to a little longer, to get hold on and embrace these digital learners and the technology in a continuous focus. So then only this will become a lifestyle into people. So those are the adjustments that I suggest.
Right. I think you shared good points with us, Dilshan. I think connecting from where you ended your conversation, Mr. Fernando mentioned being engaged with digital learning and having experience with digital learning. Uh, what can you emphasize on the new technology that you have adapted? I mean, these Microsoft Teams came into play to sort of broaden the digital learning for BRC. What is your experience like compared to your previous experiences?
Rishika, very pertinent question you are raising. The students, when we happen to approach the schools for this learning as a social responsibility, many principals have the concern of security, and of course, it has become a buzzword in the society, and principals, teachers, they don't want to share some of the information of students. So naturally, we have to emphasize the available options uh, in the entire universe. And we didn't have any hesitation in promoting Microsoft, because it is run on the most secured environment. So that aspect is critical to them. So they having, this is a household name, Microsoft, and coming into learning and development with that credibility, the global giant, with all those things, we were able to convince them. But still, they had concerns about the security aspect. And next thing would be the connectivity, which always would be a concern. But the advantage of Microsoft for the schools, we had to again and again go through these sessions and demos to convince them that this is an all-inclusive facility where the students may collaborate and communicate with the teachers. Not only that, they would be able to do their own stimulations, and the options available in the Microsoft 365 version, where it would be integrated to the learning management system, and it became an all-inclusive ideal solution for the teacher community. Not only that, even for the corporate learning, today budgets have been slashed for learning, and it would be a nice tool for corporates to embrace, because learning should continue, and it would be new, almost new learning had to be inculcated to the corporate employees and for students in the school environment. It is they need to be in par with international learning conditions. So the Microsoft is an all-inclusive, fully integrated software they have put it, which would be people, school children in particular, they fall in love with to operate it.
Great.
Yeah.
Dilshan, you mentioned about the employee engagement, the teacher student engagement. How do you think a tool like Microsoft Teams can help to improve these engagement between teacher and student or employee employer engagement?
Now, before Microsoft team comes in, we were analyzing, basically researching on can recommend for this, right? So when you take the other networks that the tutors and the trainers and everyone used, all of them had different type of requirements, but what they did only was basically transmitting the recorded videos or the live conferencing. But digital learning is not live conference or the virtual conference. Learning has elements. There in the learning there are so many elements. I mean, in the live classroom there are practical simulations happens. There is a one-to-one connection happens, and the learners get engaged with the trainer or the tutor or the teacher consistently in the class, and teacher has all the control in the class, and there are workbooks to be carried on, and there are some the tutor or the assessments to be done there, and it's a the learning and development or the learning process is a real impactful process other than just virtual conferencing. So we were thinking of how are we going to inculcate the experience of a learner through a technology like this. So then what we found, Microsoft Teams and Microsoft package to have these type of facilities where you can create the 360 digital learning inputs, right? So if you take the features which is really impactful for the learner at the moment in the schools with the interactions that we have got, the best thing is carrying the notes, right? I mean, it's a virtual notebook, and you can program classrooms, you can program smart classrooms in it. Then there are features like your kind of recordings or your kind of I mean the multimedia type of the learning program. I mean learning tutories or whatever the materials can be uploaded into a OneDrive and also keep it in a sequence. And even from the learner's point of view, learners learning is much more organized because they can basically revisit the learning in a sequence where they know what type of learning that I have got and where I have to find it. So because it's very much organized, and for the teacher aspect, teacher can simultaneously handle with I mean number of classrooms, right? With the learner, I mean they know exactly this team is there, and this classroom is my students, and this class have this much of learning that has to be completed, and this is what I have already completed. For this class, I have this type of program that already need to be done. So likewise, teacher can plan himself, and teacher can organize his or her area for the classroom, and they can deliver in much more convenient way. For the learner, it's a very organized, safe, and secure place to learn, right? So that made Microsoft Teams cut above the rest, being the digital learning expert when we comparing with any other I mean type of technologies which has been invented in the world. So that is why BRC Digital Campus, when we are looking for it, even me, I personally recommended that for BRC Digital Campus, saying that it could be the future of digital learning, and this is the best at the moment with the 360-degree learner and teacher experience.
Right. Thank you for sharing your experience, Dilshan. I think we're almost running out of time, so this will be my last question to you both. I'll start with Mr. Fernando. I know we still don't have a certain date as of now when the schools can reopen. I know there's a little bit of uncertainty still within the parents and teachers, how well we can protect the students when they come back to school. How well do you think the schools and institutes will navigate their way through in upcoming months? And what sort of advice you can add today to share with our listeners?
Yeah, Rishika, it's a huge challenge for the school authorities to continue with the studies in the classroom environment. One thing, you have to follow the health guidelines. Next thing is the students' own safety and security, and to see everything together, which has never not been in any situation earlier. So, as I told you earlier, in this unimaginable situation, all the parents, the old boys, all stakeholders need to support the school authorities to see that this goes well without going into another second wave, or second wave maybe perhaps. So it is the responsibility of all the citizens in the country to support and follow the health guidelines and see that these schools happen to open and continue, normalcy will continue. But coming back to the continuation of the studies, we can't stop it from the where we have started. It has to be on a blended learning process, because students have already fallen in love with, and they have seen that schools happen to be embraced in this. And as I earlier told, the school principals, school authorities, national level, the principals, teachers, they have to embrace the technology and more IT literacy into their daily routine, and that will make them also to fall in love with this and be connected with the children more often. That for that purpose, I think Microsoft and TechOne, the principal partner, BRC, would continuously support them to engage in this digital learning, and with many programs for them on as a responsible citizen in the country, as a responsible organization. Though we are an infant company, we are planning many things to take them to a smart learning, absolutely free of charge. And now that we have got this wonderful opportunity from the global giant to have this platform free of charge to the school children, we have to give the best to them also. An organization like us and all the digital experts, all the learners in this situation need to support and make a commitment, not making keep aside of the financial gain, and come forward and continuously get involved in some interactive sessions with the children, and so that there won't be any discrimination for the school children in going ahead with the digital learning. And of course, it would make opening for the school authorities to move into blended learning more often while continuing in the in-house classrooms. So that would be the way forward there. So that there is an appeal for all the tutors, all the digital trainers to actively get involved in this process and make their contribution to the community at large, and support the children, support the schools, support the school curriculum, support the entire efforts of prosperity of the country. Thank you very much, Rishika, for this wonderful interaction with you. And I thank the Tech One in particular because your team had been really amazing, and the commitment of the team when we organized the teacher training, they got connected from different places of the country. I know you all are busy in different parts in promoting this very important national need is, for the learning aspects. And it's an amazing commitment and devotion of the entire team. We really appreciate it. Without your diehard support, we would have never been able to take this forward. And wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dilshan, you can add your view in terms of how things will continue in upcoming months, especially in the education sector itself. And what will be your advice to our listeners today?
Yes, Rajika, we know, although we say that, that we know, we wish that the digital learning has to be continued. We know that certain challenges that Sri Lanka has in their traditional conservative ways that we have practiced it for so many years. Now, because of that, we need to anyway conduct our scholarship examination or the A-level examination, O-level examinations, the way it was conducted in physical form. So therefore, those students cannot be converted into digital immediately and conduct those examinations in the digital mode in next 2-3 months, because it will take little time for adjust as well. But that would be the future. But now we have to adjust to current scenario, where we conduct these examinations as physical, and also where we conduct some of the classes again once again and activate the schools, because we have to understand, behind the school there's a lot of school management is happening. We are talking about 4.5 million students as well as 245,000 teachers in the market, right? So they have to be, basically that's their livelihood, their profession. So everyone will be not able to be a digital teacher, and every student may not be able to become a digital learner, because we have our natural challenges because of our bandwidth in Sri Lanka, some of the coverages in Sri Lanka, because still the Sri Lanka's data is little bit expensive, although it's affordable. In terms of the network, it's affordable, but in terms of the purchasing, it is not very much affordable to all students in the country, because of the pricing. But still, with these all these challenges, to find out what I suggest as a L&D enthusiastic, what I suggest is schools should reactivate, because that school management have to be in place, and those livelihood has to be continued. At the same time, now we are talking about a school which operates from 8:30 to 2:30, and now they are going to stretch it till 4:30. So what we can do, basically the suggestion is, I think government experts would have been also looking into all those, but what I feel in this is, we can get students period, let's say their general period is about 4 to 5 hours. We can convert 3 to 4 hours, or let's say 50% of that hours into digital learning as we did, and 50% of that in practical terms, the simulation should happen in the classroom. So likewise, now we have to basically use this amazing facility given by Microsoft Teams free of charge to most of the schools in Sri Lanka, utilize it in such productive way. So basically how to break the syllabus into two, like theoretical aspects and the practical simulations. And practical simulations can happen in the lab or the classroom, with the general way that they were doing, and the theoretical stuff can be totally transformed into digital. So then it's a blended learning that we are talking, right? So likewise we can adjust. So for answer your question, what I can see is, rather than totally reactivating the classes or in the schools, if we can bring this blended mechanism where we can split it to practical and theoretical whole part can go in digital, and practical simulations you can do it in the classroom, and you can reduce the time of the school by, let's say, from 8:30 to 12, you can manage the school. Right. So likewise, we have to be innovative with this, and we have to be with the digital. So that's my suggestion. If you ask me how you suggest the mechanism should work, that's my main suggestion to the school network in Sri Lanka.
Great. I would like to thank you both, Mr. Fernando and Dilshan, for sharing this insightful information with us today. And I think the listeners will have a very good understanding of what digital learning is and how and what are the best practices they can implement when they try out digital learning. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time to us and being with us and sharing your experience with us today. Thank you, Mr. Fernando, and thank you, Dilshan.
And
Thank you,
before you
Rishika.
thank you, Rashika. And I want to add for one more comment, like Mr. Fernando made it already. So you are an amazing team, the Tech One team. I mean, there are so many individuals, even I can name them, but they were so much very helpful. And more than everything, the Tech One has believed in digital learning in Sri Lanka and wanted to support genuinely to digital learning in Sri Lanka. So I, as a learning management enthusiastic, I respect you for that genuine effort that you all have put into this.
Thank you, Dilshan.